Hi, welcome to Rachel & Co. I'm Rachel, I'm a trauma therapist, and this is a podcast where I'm going to bring people on to have a conversation about life. In this episode, I'm joined with Leah, who is one of the amazing people that created the space that I'm currently in, that created this studio and the office that I work out of. And we've had so many great conversations, and she has been the inspiration to start this podcast in the first place. So I am so excited for you to see the conversation that we've had. We talk about all things relationships, trauma, and a bit about fears of becoming parents. So I hope you enjoy.
It's so handy to have like a therapist on. Cool. Just pops downstairs every day and we can just like have a chat, have a catch up. And like I think a few times we'd had these conversations and we would get like quite into it and quite deep and then think, I bet there's so many other people having those thoughts and like going through those things. And we literally have a studio and a podcast set up down the hall. So why not just like start recording them?
Yeah, makes sense.
What was something we spoke about recently? We actually paused because we thought this would be a good chat for that. I remember we were speaking a lot about like compromise in relationships.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're always taught to compromise, right? It's it's good to be able to do that. Then I feel like there is sort of like a line
Yeah.
where it can go too far.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really tricky thing to like try and be a good person and make these compromises, but also not compromise yourself too much. Does that like come up often in your therapy chats?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not necessarily directly in that way, but it all comes with people pleasing, setting boundaries, manipulation too can come up with that. So there's lots of different ways that compromise, either you're compromising too much, which is often where the people pleasing comes in, or a lack of boundaries, your own boundaries. Or it goes the other way where you don't compromise, someone's not compromising enough, where you're stepping over someone else's bound, like your partner or your friend or whoever, someone else's boundaries, maybe manipulating them into getting them to do what you want to do, which obviously is not ideal. So a good compromise is where you're both listening to each other's boundaries and finding a true compromise, which is, okay, I'm not comfortable with this and you're not comfortable with that, so what can we do instead? There has to be some kind of negotiation.
How tricky though to think of it like that. So like there's this huge scale of compromise where you're either maybe doing too little, too much, and then you've got two of you both trying to find your individual happy medium where you're like you're happy with it and you're not doing too much or too little. But then that also has to coincide with the other party's happy medium. Like it's actually pretty hard to find like a sweet spot, like a good compromise.
Yeah, and that's where communication comes in.
Yeah.
And that is one of the toughest things I found with relationships is a lack of communication. Or it's either a lack of, or sometimes it's just that people communicate so differently.
Of course.
And again, that comes into childhood stuff. So how you've been taught to communicate. Some people's households were very loud and aggressive and shouty.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how
you learn to get share your feelings.
Other families, like, they wouldn't shout at all and things would be swept under the rug, not talked about. So therefore any time that there is any kind of raised voices or conflict or what, they can't deal with that. They don't know what to do in that situation because that feels scary. So that's where the mismatch can come in with relationships and communication. When you've got one person that only knows how to resolve conflict by having an argument versus someone that avoids conflict at all costs, because then how do you get to any resolution?
Yeah. So I'm in like a long-term relationship and we live together. We've been together since we were really young as well, like 17, 18. And obviously we often found like bumps in the road and things you're trying to work out together. And it's so true what you say, like something I always have to like remind myself is like we're not doing anything wrong. We're
Mhm.
both just like two completely different individuals
Yeah.
with completely different backgrounds,
Mhm.
trying to like navigate a life together that makes us like both happy.
Yeah.
And I think particularly from a young age, but at any age, you change so much
Mhm.
at different rates. Like you're not both growing at the same time. You're not
Yeah.
both going through different like those stages of life at the same time. Like there's definitely been times where we felt off kilter.
Mhm.
Um, and you do align back up, but like in those moments, that's when like the conflict, whatever you want to call it, can come up. And the like you say, the way of communicating through that can be so different.
Mhm. Yeah. I think
So true.
one of the big things I think is just being able to it's taking accountability,
Mm,
and it's also being able to acknowledge like, okay, maybe we didn't have that conversation in the best way.
yeah,
Maybe I didn't express myself very well in that way. Maybe I called you something and I actually didn't mean that.
yeah,
I was just angry,
yeah. You
and
can trip
that's
up
okay.
and you can do things wrong, but like own up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of like the mismatch in communication or
Mm,
the growth or whatever. I think as long as I think it's okay for you to say that you don't know something or
mm,
that you're not ready for something or whatever it is. But it's at least saying like either, okay, I recognize that that's something I need to work on. So I'm going to work on it. I'm going to get the help that I need, or I'm going to do the research I need to. Because
mhm.
not everything, you don't always have to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just do your own work.
Work it through.
If
Yeah.
you aren't ready to talk to someone, that's okay. Um, but as long as like you know within yourself, okay, I need to be better in this thing, so I'm
Mm,
gonna go and do that. I think, but like I say, it's just a lot of it is just acknowledging where you're at.
mm. Yeah. So true.
So this is something that I often tell my clients is that if you need to have a break from, so if you're in a conflict and it's not going anywhere, emotions are all over the place and it's just not happening,
Mm,
take a break.
yeah.
Say, I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes
Yeah.
because right now we're not getting anywhere. So let's separate for 10 minutes, an hour, talk the next day, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
But then you come back together and continue that conversation.
Yeah. And if you're not ready, you need to have the courtesy to say, I'm still not ready to talk about
Yeah.
this. Can I have some more time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it kind of goes back to compromise, right?
Hmm.
Like you have to like give a little
Yeah.
to get a little.
Because again, you have, so have you heard about the different attachment styles?
Briefly, but I probably need a refresh.
I won't go too much in because this could be for another time.
Yeah.
But so just very briefly, so the main ones that people would have heard of is you've got anxious and you've got avoidant. You can get some
Mhm.
people that are a bit of both, and you've got secure. They're like the main four.
Okay.
There's actually a very small number of true secure people.
Really?
Most people are something else.
Yeah.
So anxious attachment is what you would expect. They're very anxious.
Yeah.
They tend to be quite. This is a bit of an extreme of what I'm about to say, but just so you
Mhm.
kind of get the picture. They're very needy.
Mm,
They don't like silence or space. Like they want to know everything.
right.
Then you've got avoidant,
Avoidant, yeah.
which wants space. They don't want people getting too close to them because often they're scared of what people will see.
Right.
There's a whole reason why they're avoidant is
Yeah.
because they
Putting a
just want
wall
their
up.
distance and it's fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then you've got it's called disorganized, which is a bit of a mix of both.
Oh, okay.
So different situations might kind of trigger a different part.
Change it a bit. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know where I fall on that.
You don't.
I think so. I would say I'm probably more the anxious. I definitely have anxious traits anyway,
Yeah.
aside from attachment, I guess. But I don't like a silence if we have like been a bit grumpy with each other.
Hmm.
Like, and I actually think I would rather compromise further than prolong any sort of like negativity or like a weird
Hmm.
aura in the house. So I just, I mean, it does, I guess to a way it kind of helps because I'll often say, like, can we be friends again? Like, I
Hmm.
just want to, I would never do that if we hadn't hashed it all out. But say we've like gone into all the nitty gritty, maybe we haven't fully found like a good middle ground in whatever it is. But if we're just kind of like a bit off with each other and I realize that actually it's not that big of a deal to me now, I've kind of like got over it a little bit. I would rather be like, okay, I'm over it. Can we just like be happy again?
Mhm.
Than prolong that. So I guess that I'm more of an anxious attachment, right?
I don't know, because also avoidant could also do that because they just
Really?
want the situation to be over.
Oh.
Anxious, so in a conflict, maybe you'll see it more. You'll see the anxious more. So like, say that you're in a text or something,
Mm.
and that you like they know that the other person's off, or they get an inkling that the other person's off. They will like message like, "Are we
Okay.
okay?" Or just like
Right.
put continuously put feelers out. Whereas an avoidant is more likely to just completely not say anything. Or maybe
Right.
sometimes that they'll just continue a conversation and like nothing's happened.
Yeah. Maybe I'm disorganized then.
Maybe.
I'd be surprised if I'm secure. So I'm
Like
gonna
I
say I'm
said,
a bit of both.
I'm not secure if that makes you feel any
Yeah.
better. So I'm
What's secure? They just literally go about happy every day.
yeah, they're just like completely secure within themselves and how
Mhm.
they function with people and how they see themselves versus the world.
Right.
So
I don't
very
think I'm that.
confident people.
Yeah. I'd say like I could get there. I don't think I'm far off,
No,
but I don't think I'm there now.
I mean when I was training and learning about all of this stuff, I think there was some things that would say that there's no moving.
Right.
Like once you are in attachment, that's it. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you
No.
can move. I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily completely become secure because I think a lot of your attachment style comes from trauma and how you were raised and da da da,
Mm.
and that kind of experience stays with you. Um, but I think you can move into a lot healthier
Yes.
space.
So you mentioned how like your attachment style can be very much influenced by your childhood,
Hmm.
how you were brought up, how you were raised. I don't know if you're the same. Probably, I would be surprised if you weren't. But a lot of my friends are thinking about having children. It's something, or they already have.
Yeah.
Um, but something that I feel like comes up in conversation amongst us all the time is like in a load of different ways, but this like fear of messing up your kids.
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, is it a generational thing? Like we're all more aware. We're all more aware in general of our like mental health and our
Hmm.
like getting therapy is way more like less of a taboo.
Hmm.
And I guess in that people are then figuring out what in their childhood caused the way they are in whatever way. So I guess it is generational in a way, but it's a big deal to like think about, and it definitely puts a lot of people I know off because they
Yeah.
feel like they need to be in a certain position before they will have children because they're just so terrified of like doing something wrong or doing something in their life that will impact their kids for like the rest of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely a lot more now
Yeah.
because of like the amount of information we have around mental health
Mm.
and trauma and um, how these things can kind of go through the generations and through families and stuff. I think it's probably always been a thought in the back of some people's heads. I think, like when you see people that have been through big traumas
Mm.
of like any generation, like if they've seen like a direct family thing happen,
Mm.
that then maybe they choose not to have children because they don't want to continue that
Of
or
course, yeah.
whatever. But I think now it's a lot more prevalent, I think, because it is such a big topic now,
Mm.
is mental health. So in having that mindset of I don't want to traumatize my children, obviously you don't want your kids to be traumatized.
Mm.
No one wants that.
Mm.
However, it's also a part of life. So if you wrap them in cling film,
There's no
bubble
resilience.
wrap, whatever.
Yeah,
There, yeah.
suffocate them. That would be traumatic.
Yeah. Then yeah, they don't learn any ways to cope with anything that
Resilience,
comes at
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It's like you can like as parents you could create like the safest environment for them.
Mm.
Um and they'll never have any worries in life. And that's great for their childhood and that's so wonderful. But then when it gets to adulthood, they've got no idea how to cope. And
Mm.
that is more traumatizing than if they experience some lower level forms
Yeah.
of discomfort
Yeah, as a child.
as a child.
Because there's even that trend going around at the moment where it's like a video of people's like family and their kids, and the caption is, I can't remember it fully, but something like, my goal is to give my kids a life they don't have to recover from.
Mhm,
Which, like you say, obviously that should be most people's intention, but I think that puts so much pressure.
mhm,
And like we said before, everyone's doing everything for the first time,
yeah,
and you would hope that the majority of people having children have that goal of doing their best.
mhm,
They're not gonna do things that are gonna purposely do that to their kids.
yeah,
But again, it probably comes down to balance, right? Like, how do you make a well-rounded
mhm,
child that like has enough resilience but not too much, hasn't experienced too much to like go too far, or like,
yeah,
and I guess that's also where this whole gentle parenting debate comes in.
mhm, yeah, yeah. I think the main to me, true gentle parenting is having a very honest relationship with your child.
And communication, right?
Yeah,
Which is what we spoke about
yeah,
before.
but some things will be relevant to different ages.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some things, like maybe yes, they are too young to know that exact detail.
Yes.
Um, but they can have at least like a basic idea of what that thing is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's being honest with
Yeah.
them.
And they're sponges when they're young, right?
Yeah.
So even if they're not fully going to understand what you're saying, they're going to take it in.
Mhm.
And how else do they learn what that means if
Yeah.
you don't kind of speak to them in that way
Yeah.
kind of young?
But kids will learn resilience through their parents.
Really?
So if something's happened and then
Mm.
the parents are not talking about, so from their view, because kids can also read energy too. Like they're
Yeah.
gonna know when something's a bit off. So
Yeah.
if something's happening within their family and they're not being told that, then often also shout out to Gabor Mate, who's one of my favourite psychologists.
Oh, shout out Gabor.
You will have no idea who I am. Um, he said before that kids are like little narcissists, like they're so self-centered, like they
Mm.
think everything is because of them. And it's true because like when it comes to how they view the world, everything is like, okay, so my parents are angry,
It must be
it
me.
must be me.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily about them, it's about
Of
something else. So
course.
they don't know that.
Yeah. They have
Um,
no experience that there's other
yeah,
factors going on.
yeah. So if they're feeling this energy,
Mm.
because like we said, they're sponges, they're taking everything in. If they're feeling this negative energy in the house, but they're not being told why, then they're gonna be like, okay, this is because of me. Maybe I need to try and manage how like my parents feel.
And that's surely where like people pleasing comes from.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or maybe they're like, okay, well, my feelings don't matter because their feelings matter more.
Mm.
Or maybe, oh my God, there's like so many different things.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Whereas if the parents just told them,
Mm. And you
this
don't
is
need
what's
to go
going on.
into details, right? But you can say,
No.
Mummy's really upset today.
Yeah.
I had a terrible day at work. I'm feeling really sad and I'm pretty tired.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with you.
No.
You don't need to really, you're not going to be like, oh, so and so, I don't know, stole my coffee at work. But
Well, you can if
no,
you
I'm
want
kidding.
to,
That would
but
probably be fine. But
yeah.
you don't need to tell, I guess, a 3-year-old the general details of why you're
Mhm.
so upset that they can feel a different energy in the house.
Yeah.
But you can at least make sure they're aware that it's not you,
Yeah.
not them. Sorry.
And also, like, by telling them that, and then also by letting them see how you're dealing with that, teaches them resilience.
It's more in how you actually handle situations rather than how you're not actually, you probably wouldn't feel like you're parenting at the time that you handle a situation that doesn't involve them.
Mhm.
That it's not like they're having a tantrum and you're parenting it. You're just going through something yourself and they're observing. You
Mhm.
probably wouldn't always think of that as your parenting, but actually that's how you're teaching them without having to be like, obviously there's cases where you'll say like, oh, when you're angry, like you can X, Y, and Z. We don't
Mhm.
hit or shout, but we can whatever.
Yeah.
That is like a direct parenting, right? But actually they probably take in way more by seeing
Yeah.
you, because they're not in a heightened state at that point as
Mhm.
compared to if they're the one going through something.
Yeah.
So they're probably more likely to take it in by just observing.
Yeah. And especially because, like, if they're having a tantrum or they're upset about something, and then you're trying to tell them how to, like, help them regulate through that and
Mm,
tell them, okay, this is how you can, like, so presuming if you're following gentle parenting or a version of,
mm.
then you'd be helping them, like, A, validate how they feel, and then also what they can do, like you were saying. But then if they don't see you do that, then it's like,
They don't know they don't really understand what
no.
you're saying. They need to see it in action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's obviously very different to what some people see, and I see this debate on social media a lot. Um, but there's then that flip side of this, people thinking they're doing the gentle parenting,
Mhm.
but actually it's more of like a ignoring or like accepting certain behaviors. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the whole taboo around gentle parenting comes from, is that people are seeing it, the term used to the wrong actions, and then
Mhm.
thinking that gentle parenting like isn't good, or
Yeah.
there's a lot of varied opinions on it.
Yeah. I think maybe the issue is, like, the term gentle in
Mm.
gentle parenting. I think some people see that as soft.
Yeah,
So by being soft, that kind of sounds like all you're doing is giving in to them.
yeah.
Like,
And maybe also some parents think I want to be a gentle parent, and they're confusing the terminology and thinking
mhm.
they end up actually being like soft.
Yeah. But actually, true gentle parenting is teaching them boundaries.
Mm.
So, no, you can't do that because X, Y, Z. It's not going on to the other extreme, completely away from gentle parenting. It's no, you don't do that
Mm.
because I said so,
Yes, I
and you
hate that.
have no
I actually have an
control.
example of this yesterday. It made me genuinely feel uncomfortable, and it wasn't
Mhm.
even that deep, really. But I was walking the dog, and I walked past a house, and there was a little girl on a little bike thing,
Mhm.
um, and she was just like, it's the one without pedals, so she's not like going at any
A
speed.
balance bike.
Balance bike. She's just like roaming about on the front of her road and like down her driveway near the garage.
Mhm.
I didn't think much of it because I thought she's literally by her house. Anyway, next thing I hear someone coming out of the house shouting a name. So I'm thinking, oh, they must be calling her back. Like 4 times they scream this child's name. I'm like listening out, and followed by, you do not come out the front door by yourself, which I have opinions on, and then get back in the house now. So my mind was then thinking, like, immediately I felt like a bit uncomfortable. Like, that was pretty firm. The child must have been 3, I'm going to say 3 or younger. I thought, is that the right thing to do? Because that could be dangerous. And do you need to assert like some stern, like, so they don't actually ever think to do that again?
Mhm.
Whereas if you were a bit softer, maybe they'll think it's not actually that bad if I do that. Like, I know I shouldn't, but it's not that bad. But something about the wording did make me feel uncomfortable. Like, that wouldn't be my preferred way of then like addressing the situation.
Mhm.
I do feel like you could have got the message across without like screaming in the street at your child. So that, like, where's the balance there? Like, there's
Mhm.
danger and you need them to know it,
Yeah.
but you don't want to, like, do you want to shout? I don't feel like, personally, I don't feel like you want to scream at them.
Mhm. Again, I think it depends on the situation. I think when it's like a very dangerous situation,
Mm,
then if you need to shout in that moment and
mm,
you want them to feel scared
mm.
because that was a scary situation they could have died from.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
kids run out into the road
yeah,
and nearly get knocked over like that,
yes,
like, yes, grab them and say, you
yeah,
can't do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so if you need to do that, then do that. But then
yeah,
it's also explaining, like,
yes,
you can't do that because
because, yeah,
I don't know, like, you don't know who's around,
mm,
or like there's dangerous cars around that like could knock you
yeah,
over,
yeah,
and like it's explaining why. It's not
yeah.
just saying get
The
back in.
shouting is probably necessary if you need to get their attention quick
Yeah,
and
especially
make
if
them
she
aware.
called her name quite a few times and
Mm,
she didn't respond, then maybe it just got to a point where it was like, okay, now I need to
yeah,
get to this level for them to
yes.
hear me.
Yeah, and obviously I don't know what explanation happened afterwards.
Mhm.
But I do remember thinking like that is a young child.
Yeah.
But also, how are they outside on the front anyway?
Mhm.
So is it like fully the child's fault?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I laid on that. But
Yeah.
so what advice would you give to someone thinking about starting a family, but they are pretty worried about making sure one, they're in the right headspace,
Mhm.
and not I don't even think the right, because I feel like you've got to know you're in the right headspace before you start thinking about it. But I mean, have they done enough work on themselves?
Yeah.
Maybe overthinking that part
Mhm.
and being concerned about messing up their kids.
Um, I don't think you know necessarily when exactly you're ready. I don't think
Mm,
there is a perfect time.
mm,
I think if there is, you need to have a certain level of self-awareness, I think. Like, there's always going to be things that pop up. Even me, like I've done loads of my own therapy, personal therapy. I'm constantly looking at myself.
yeah, in the
And
mirror.
there's always new things that come up. So it's not necessarily that you've got to be a perfect version of yourself and you've got everything ironed out, everything that's wrong with you. It's
Yeah,
not even necessarily what's wrong with you, but just areas that you can improve on.
yeah,
Um, I think as long as like there's bigger things that you can identify that maybe you don't like with your own parents, maybe, and your own upbringing.
mm,
Like how do you communicate? It's kind of looking at like the big themes, I guess, in your life. So yeah, how do I communicate? How do I regulate my emotions? How do I deal with my own
mm,
emotions? Is there big things, big traumas in my life that I've not touched?
mm,
If I've not, then I should probably at least identify them
yeah,
and maybe talk to someone about them,
yeah,
so that then I don't and, like, how are they working through me?
yeah.
Because
You
these
might
big
subconsciously pass that on.
yeah, I mean, these big traumas tend to come out in different ways. You
Mm,
might think that you've got it smushed down somewhere, but it's definitely coming out in some way.
mm,
Um, so it's having some sort of self-awareness of yourself, just of yourself. Um, and then it's just when it happens, it happens.
mm.
And then if anything comes up, notice how you're talking to your children, how you're behaving around them, um, what are they picking up from you?
Because
If
you're
there's
always
any further work, then do the further work.
right. As I was going to say, you don't have to have it. You can always work on yourself.
Yeah.
So you can do as much as you can before, but that doesn't mean that once you have children, it's too late because you already had them and you hadn't worked on that. You can still
Mhm.
work on those
Yeah.
things. I also think, although it could cause little rifts, especially when you're tired and you're just working all of this out, but I think, would it be important to have an agreement with your partner that they pull you up on things
Yeah.
if they think like you need to almost hold each other accountable, because you don't know how you're going to be and how you're going to
Mhm.
react to situations. Like we've said through this whole thing, like everyone's doing everything for the first time.
Yeah.
So I think having that agreement and also agreeing with your partner
Mhm.
on how you would handle
Yeah.
situations. Like there may be a non-negotiable thing that your partner really wants to do something one way and you definitely don't want that, and then you don't want to figure that out when you're a year in.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think those conversations beforehand.
Yeah. Like I say, it's all about that compromise and
Mm,
um, accountability, communication, all of that stuff.
yeah.
I think you need to definitely need to put egos aside. Kids are often like a very big mirror to yourself. And you see that a lot so I see it a lot within my client work between daughters and mothers, for example. It can happen in other dynamics, but I'm just using this as an example. Sometimes you can see that the mum has a lot of trauma and a lot of stuff they've not worked through, and then they see a lot of themselves within their daughters,
Mm,
and therefore take it out on them. So the daughter's like, I feel like I've done nothing wrong,
mm.
but they feel so punished and so villainized by their mum.
Because are they reacting worse because they're like, oh my God, that's me.
Yeah.
And
They
I
don't
know
always
it's me.
necessarily consciously know that, but
Right.
that's what's happening.
Right.
They put a lot of pressure, they try to control,
Mm,
and it's not nice for them at all. Whereas if they had gone to therapy and worked on the things that they need to work on. Obviously, sometimes it's easier said than done. They could have gone to therapy, but it's just maybe they've just not gone as deep as they need to, or they've just not been able to work through things and process things in the way that they need to. Maybe they don't have access to that. Maybe they don't have the money to do that, to get the type of therapy that they need, which is always a shame. But yeah, if they'd worked through all of that, then maybe their relationship would have been better. But
And again, they're not going to be perfect, but if they did spot those things, they're going to be better equipped to teach their child through those things rather than just let the pattern repeat itself.
Yeah.
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 So
It's all tricky because one person is
yeah.
complex, let alone when you bring lots
Yeah.
of people together, so families or partners or whatever. But everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
Or trying to. Thanks for listening to the first episode of Rachel and Co. If you enjoyed, then please like, subscribe, share it to people if you think that they'd benefit from this, or just take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed today. If you want to follow anything else that I'm doing, then I'm on Instagram at Rachel Shaw Therapy, or there's my website, rachelshaw.co.uk. If you want to look at blog posts that I do, podcast updates, or anything else that I'm sharing beyond the therapy room. But in the meantime, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.